So I'm just leaving my acting class for the day. As always, some things came up while I was in class that I really kind of wanted to share with you. And I'm really glad that I had this awareness and reminder, because I kind of, for a moment, when I was triggered into a state of insecurity in my acting ability, I did go back into that place of like, oh, I've lost my artistry. How do I get it back? Where is it? All of that. In my class, we're often given a new scene with a scene partner, and we're paired up. We work on the scene, and then we essentially put it up in front of the class, and then we get critiqued by our classmates and by obviously our coach. Today I got a new scene and a new scene partner. We did the scene. Our classmates begin critiquing. I'm working on receiving constructive criticism and not taking it personally and not letting it mean that I'm somehow bad at what I do. However, I still struggle with this. At least I'm aware of it though, as it's happening, so I can detach myself from the criticism, the constructive criticism. From the criticism, the constructive criticism that I received, I went into this place of feeling like, oh, I'm a bad actor. And then I backed it up and I was like, no, I'm not a bad actor. I'm actually a good actor, but I'm not a great actress. And I want to be great. And so as I'm sitting there, I'm listening to the critiques, listening to my coach, taking all these things and internalizing them. I went to that space of, I am not as good as I want to be. I'm not as good as I think I should be. So I get very much in my head, and I kind of remain there for the rest of the class. I was reminded of what my coach said at the beginning of class. Somehow we got into this topic where he started saying that we each are in a space that is necessary for our acting. He's like, if you look at it like a ladder, you each are on a rung, and the rung that you're at is essential to getting yourself to the next rung, which gets you to the next rung and the next rung, and you continue to climb in that way. He said, let's hop off this need to get to the A-list stuff. Let's focus on the fact that you are working actors. You have work coming in, you're auditioning, you're working on your skills. That is a blessing. I'm so glad he said that, because I needed to be reminded of that. As we're working towards our goals, our big dreams that we have, a lot of times we're so focused on the goal and the dream that we almost become blind to the fact that we're already on the path. And even though where we're at now doesn't look like the dream, it's still so essential and necessary for the dream. For example, if I were to book some A-list level lead role out of Hollywood right now, would I have the capacity to show up and really do the job justice? I mean, maybe I might. And knowing myself, when I'm under pressure, I tend to just create diamonds. That's just how I am. But that doesn't mean that my nervous system wouldn't freak out. And so it might not mean that I do a bad acting job or a bad character work or anything like that. I might show up and do a really great job. However, my nervous system, because it doesn't have the capacity to hold such a level of success yet, it might look like me getting sick and manifesting an illness. Or it might look like me manifesting some sort of situation where all of the money that I make from that film, I end up having to spend on something else, right? But also, I might not do a good job, because I don't know. At this point in my career, in my path, I don't know what it's like to work on a feature film. I have not yet worked a feature film. The longest film that I've done is a student short film. That's about, I want to say 12 pages. The one that I'm working on right now is 12 pages. The one that I did last month, I think, was 8 pages. In terms of a film, that's roughly 8 to 12 minutes. So that's what my capacity looks like right now. That's what I've done, and that's what I'm somewhat familiar with. And so if I'm so focused on manifesting a feature length lead role in a film, I don't even know what that looks like. Expecting myself to show up in that position and just knock it out of the park, expecting my nervous system to do something that it quite literally cannot even fathom. I can hold the dream in my mind, but to hold it in my body and show up and do it is an entirely different thing. And while we were working the scene in class, because after we did it once, we did the constructive criticism, and then we went back and worked these different little points in the scene. And my coach went on, not a tangent, but started talking about this thing called plank time. And again, I don't know about this beyond what he told us, but essentially he said when the universe had the Big Bang and all of these things kind of took shape, the scientists said that this happened in the span of a second. In a second, the entire universe was formed. So he said what they did was they stretched and expanded a second of time and kind of outlined all these little moments to say, okay, at this Planck moment, the universe had expanded to this point. And at this Planck moment, it expanded to this point, and kind of looking at the progression of how the universe expanded. And so he said, when we're working on these different beats in a scene or these different lines in a scene that have a lot of juice in them, important moments in the scene, he's like, you want to expand them, you want to take them, you want to stretch them out and go into Planck time and look at all the little beats and moments in each of those lines. And he said too, right, like you don't have to do that for every single line, but you want to do it for maybe the 3 or 4 or 5 lines that are in a scene that contain that juice. And then when you've done the work and then you go and actually do the scene, even though to the viewer it looks like it's just been a second, you put so much weight and energy into that one line that they're not perceiving with their eyes, but they're feeling with their heart. That's what makes a great actor, is being able to put in all of that work, right? And I'm listening to him talk about this and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. But what also clicked in my mind was, oh my gosh, that's a lot of work. And if I'm being honest about how much time I spend on each of my scenes, it doesn't equate to that. I'm not spending that much time with my scenes to where I'm breaking down these lines into Planck seconds. For a second, I thought, wow, am I willing to put that work in? And I know the answer. The answer is yes. I want to put that work in. I love putting that work in. It just requires more of me than I have been putting in. And that's something I have to face and accept. How can I expect that I'm going to manifest and totally kill an A-list Hollywood level feature film lead role when I don't even spend the time breaking down lines in my scenes from my workshop? The work that I've been putting in has gotten me to this level, which is actually pretty good. I needed to get to this level because I wouldn't even believe in my ability to be a lead role if I hadn't even worked to get to this level. Now that I'm at this level, I recognize that what got me here is not enough to get me there. And now I know I have an idea of what I need to do to get me there. And so what I'm trying to tell you through this long-winded antidote is I'm going to bring it back around, whether it's acting or fitness or whatever it is that you're manifesting for yourself or bringing into your life. Instead of being so fixated on the goal that feels so far from where you're at, some people might even call this a quantum leap, because I think especially in the spiritual manifestation community, there's this obsession with a quantum leap. Everybody wants to quantum leap, and I get it, because me too, right? If I had the option to quantum leap, I freaking would too. But I'm realizing that what prepares you and expands your capacity to handle a quantum leap like that is showing up and taking it one step at a time, climbing the ladder one rung at a time. And actually, now that I think about it, I saw on Instagram a video about the Fibonacci sequence, and I saw one video. Okay, so I don't know a whole bunch about it, but essentially it was talking about this mapped out sequence of numbers that creates this very beautiful design that you see in nature repeated over and over and over again. They've plotted it like a mathematical equation, but it's reflected in the natural world. Let me look it up. Hold on. The Fibonacci sequence is an infinite series of numbers where each number is the sum of the 2 preceding ones, starting from 0 and 1. So it goes 0 and then it's 1. So then 0 plus 1 is 1. So the third number is 1. And then that third number, which is 1, plus the number before it, which is also 1, you add those together and you get 2. So it just goes on like that. And so the video was talking about how essentially, if you look at the numbers, they obviously compound and they get bigger and bigger and bigger. So it compounds really quickly, but at first it doesn't look like much, right? Because 0 plus 1 is 1. That's not a big expansion. 1 + 1 = 2. That's not a big expansion. Then it goes on, and eventually you get big numbers because they're compounding. And it's the same thing with manifestation. Even when you're not looking at it from a manifestation perspective, it's the same thing in anything you're looking to grow in. And it adds up to a quantum leap. And so a lot of times when we're talking about quantum leaps and people are saying, oh, you just got to believe, or they, want to quote Neville Goddard about, oh, you just got to see yourself and feel the emotion. Like, yeah, that is really, really, really powerful. However, you also need the practical steps of showing up day in and day out that compound over time, and eventually you start seeing things that are quantum leaps. But the trick, the thing about a quantum leap is it often doesn't feel like a quantum leap. So for example, I'm in an experience where I wouldn't classify it as a quantum leap, but I just got together with a friend of mine who I haven't seen in maybe like 2 months. We're talking and she's like, oh, so what's going on with you? So I'm like telling her, I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing YouTube, so I'm working on some videos right now, and I'm actually filming another student film, for the next few weeks. So I'm working on that. And I've been going back to the gym. So like I'm doing that, right? So I'm like telling her all these things that I'm doing. And she's like, it's really snowballing and it's starting to happen a lot faster. From her perspective, looking in at my situation, she's saying like, wow, things are really changing really quickly for you, Sydney. Like that's amazing. But because I'm the one showing up and living it every day, I'm like, I guess you're right. I didn't see it like that. All I see is me showing up each day, me doing the auditions and not getting the auditions. I see me, doing the script work. I see me filming the videos and editing, and I see myself doing these different things every day. I don't see how they're compounding because I'm in the middle of it. I'm the one doing the math. I'm the one plotting the points. I'm the one doing the practical applications. She's the observer, so she has a different perspective. I am obviously still working a day job, which is being a server. I'm a server at a restaurant. For the longest time, I felt like I just could not grasp my artistry. It felt like it had eluded me, like it had left me. It was gone, and I couldn't figure out why or what happened or where it went and how to get it back. And I tried different things. I tried to sit down back at the computer and make music. I even tried doing YouTube videos. I even tried doing The Artist Way, which I did not finish, but I will definitely be going back and doing it again because I think it was just healthy and really great to do anyway. I'm finally at a point with my artistry, with myself, where it no longer feels like half of the day I'm really a server, and the other half of the day, I'm trying to be an artist, trying to be a creator. I'm finally at a point where I'm seeing that I'm already a full-time creator because I'm always creating. I'm always that person. I'm always that version of myself. I just happen to also work a job. And even when I'm at my restaurant and even when I'm serving people, I'm still a creator. Who I am at my core essence, my spirit is that of a creator. So do not knock where you're at. It is adding up over time to get you to where you want to be. And there is so much value and potency in this moment right now. And if you don't pay attention and open your eyes, you're going to miss it. And I promise you, there will be a time where you do get to where you want to go. And you're going to look back at where you are now and think, wow, I had no idea what was about to happen. I have that feeling right now of like, okay, yeah, I still have my serving job, but I also have that feeling that things are about to change for me in these very big ways. And I'm going to be looking back thinking like, dang girl, you didn't even know how close you were. You had no idea how close you were to everything changing. And I also know that I'm going to look back and say, I'm so proud of all of the work that you did leading up to this, because if you hadn't done that, we wouldn't be where we are now and we wouldn't be prepared for it. And I have those moments all the time now when it comes to my self-esteem, when it comes to the relationships that I have, when it comes to, yes, this version of life that I'm living, even though it's not the ideal, it's still so much better than what it used to be. I love myself so much more than I used to because of all the years that I've spent doing the inner work, going to therapy, having a mentor, doing the journaling, meditating, right? Like showing up, taking care of myself over the last 5-6 years has compounded to the point where I'm a different version of myself. And when it does come to acting, even though I've only been back to acting for about a year, I still spent like 10 years in my childhood acting. So to an outsider looking at me, they're probably thinking, wow, how is Sydney so good at what she's doing right now when she's only been doing it for about a year? Meanwhile, they have no idea that I spent years doing theater and musical theater. So even though I wasn't doing film and television, I still had a lot of practice being an actress. I still have that perspective of myself, seeing myself as an actress. There's not so much, I don't have to do so much work in my belief in my ability to be an actress, because I already know that I can be an actress. So that if they don't have that backstory, if they don't know my past, then they might be looking at me and thinking, wow, it's so easy for Sydney. How is she doing this already? So I just wanted to share that with you. I really, like I said, want to share more about my journey as a creative and really coming back to embodying creativity and my journey of getting to a place where I am going to quit my job and be a full-time creator, because it's coming. I know it. I feel it. And I think it could be really helpful for others who are like how I used to be, where, they have maybe a lot of doubt in their journey or have a lot of doubt in the possibility of it all. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it resonated on some level. Please give the video a like if it did. Share with someone who you think needs to hear it. And subscribe if you would like to see more of my journey and have more conversations with me about having a spiritual perspective and approach to a very human life. Okay, bye.